This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Bean Jean. Bean Jean. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a happy new year to everybody, and welcome back to our Mondays with the Mayor, which is on a Tuesday this week because of the long, really long, felt like it was never going to end vacation. Those, I don't know, I just feel like the whole week was like a long week, and when there's not a lot of things to do, I go bonkers.
There's a ton of stuff to do around the house, and you could go down to the beach and help out.
Yeah, you're still peeling off duct tape from one of the windows that you put on to stop the storm from coming through our window. Wow. So hot off the presses, before we get to the mayor and our special guest for tonight, the town just sent out an update on the curfew 3 minutes ago. So here is the update on the curfew. The town will adjust its curfew hours to midnight to 6 a.m. on the Matanzas Pass Bridge and the Big Carlos Pass Bridge. Residents need to be prepared to show proof of residency, and visitors need to be prepared to show proof of reservations if they're traveling during the curfew hours. For the Big Carlos Pass Bridge on the south end, contractors still need to continue to follow the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew. And also on Monday, January 9th, parking fees will be reinstated in select areas. Parking fees have not been collected since the storm. Let's see. So $5 an hour will return to under the Matanzas Pass Bridge in lots 1 through 4 in the downtown district, including Old San Carlos Boulevard and Onestero Boulevard, and Wasting Away Beach Access parking lot on Onestero Boulevard, right next to Margaritaville. The 2-hour time limit will be removed, though parking fees will continue to be collected per hour and violations will be ticketed. Some folks have been asking about the parking passes. Prior year parking passes will be honored, and residents who no longer have a prior year parking pass will be able to receive a new one once the town's new passes arrive. I'm guessing they lost all the passes when Town Hall was destroyed in the storm. So you can go to the town's website at fmbgov.com and social media outlets for more information. So it's next Monday, January 9th. The curfew will go to midnight rather than what it is now, 8 p.m. I know the restaurants that are open were asking about that. So there is your update. And there is the mayor, Dan Allers. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Ed?
Appreciate you coming back on. It seems like it's been forever, but we did get a curfew and a parking fee update here right from the town a few minutes ago.
Amazing. That's awesome.
Great. Okay. So why don't I allow
that answered questions 1 through 4.
I know we had a lot. There were a lot of questions about the curfew and about the parking passes. If people lost their parking pass, it sounds like you guys ordered them and you're just waiting for them to come in.
Yeah, as you said at the beginning, a lot of stuff was destroyed. That was part of it. So, just waiting for the stuff to come in and we can start issuing those out again. But if you have your old ones, they'll be honored.
All right, so I'm going to let you introduce John Ward, who's going to be our special guest tonight, because you've been working with him since he's been here. So tell us a little bit about John, and we'll pull him on the screen here.
So John Ward comes to us from Jacksonville. He has been the person that I pretty much have worked side by side with through the state. He and I actually sit next to each other in the big tent. So we've had a lot to talk about over the last few weeks, and he was actually brought in to be help to the new interim town managers. Originally, he was going to be coming in to fill in for our previous town manager, Roger Hernstadt, for a vacation that he was going to have. So with the changes, John stayed on, and the state allowed John to stay on to be a consultant, I guess, if you will, be the conduit for change and where we were at with the state. He's been very instrumental in helping myself, and I believe as well as staff, in being able to get things moved forward with the state. Anything we've needed, for the most part, I can't think of anything we didn't get that we've asked for over the last couple of weeks. And John has been instrumental in that. So he is the I don't want to get his title wrong, but he is the FDEM director for Clay County. If I'm correct, John, is that their official title?
I'm the emergency management director for Clay County in Northeast Florida, and then I'm the lead for the state of Florida's incident management team, which is the team that we brought in, the multiple teams we brought into the area to assist in the management. But I help lead that program for the state of Florida.
So, John, let me ask you this: when a storm comes through like Ian did, and there's a massive amount of destruction, does the state have something set up where there are folks like you and other people that are part of a team where you're going to have to go in there and help the government out because everything was pretty much destroyed? How does that whole process work?
Generally, so we have we have predefined teams, and I'm one of the 3 leads in the state of Florida. There's one down here in South Florida, there's one in Central Florida, and then I cover the Panhandle and North Florida area for the teams. And generally in a normal event, yes, we would be notified. We'd be put on standby. We'd assemble a team, and then we'd bring a team in. However, with an event like this, this was potential a statewide event. So, when they asked us to develop a team, we put that on hold because we have our own home jurisdiction to worry about. So the state pulls in a lot of teams from out of state, which, as the mayor stated, there was some teams in earlier. I think there was some from Texas and New York and stuff like that were in early on. Once Ian cleared my area of responsibility, I was able to hand off to my staff and assemble the team and came down. And I believe we ended up within the first 3 or 4 days, we ended up with 6 incident management teams, which are 14-person teams that come in and assist the local government in managing the response and recovery efforts.
So, go ahead.
I just wanted to. So you're in place now. How long do you expect to stay and assist, or is there an idea, or just as long?
So I was here for. I'm actually leaving in the morning. I was here for I think it was just over 7 weeks. Got to spend Thanksgiving holidays down here, and I went back, I think, the middle of December, and then I came back down to help with a couple closeout paperwork on getting some contractors in place and stuff like that they needed. So I will actually be wheels up tomorrow, but I'll be coming back, I think, between the mayor and many others. I think I've kind of been made an honorary, at least town hall resident. I'm not sure about the Fort Myers Beach resident, but at least a town hall resident. So we'll be
warm them up a little bit.
So, John, when you come to something like you saw for the first time when you came over that bridge, what were your thoughts?
Well, I think obviously I think I'm the number 2 senior EM person in the state of Florida. So unfortunately, I've been doing this since, the early 2000s. And just some fast facts that I use, and I'm sure you all have heard them. I know Dan's heard me mention them many a times. Obviously this was a catastrophic event that came to your area. You all are ground zero. On the 28th of September was life-changing for Fort Myers Beach. You had a Cat 4 hurricane that made landfall, the 5th most powerful storm in the nation ever to make landfall happened right here on Fort Myers Beach. The 2nd deadliest to hit this century since Hurricane Katrina. There's been right in the area of about 125 confirmed fatalities, and we do know there's still some that are unaccounted for, not just in this area, but all over the impacted area. On 1 October, there were over 1,300 first responders that were on the ground or in the air doing aerial reconnaissance, doing search and rescue. More than 30 police, fire, EMS, and EM agencies. And just in that short period of time, they did over 2,500 rescues in the area. The infrastructure of Fort Myers Beach, you had 3,200 structures here on Fort Myers. About 2,200 of them have light to moderate, and 924 have been destroyed. That is a significant event. I've been to every significant event in the state of Florida, and even Southeast United States, since the early 2000s, and this was very devastating. But I think the one key thing that, because not everybody saw this, there was certain areas of the beach and the surrounding area that had over 18 feet of storm surge. That was measured in certain areas. And a lot of that was because of the wave actions and stuff like that we saw. So this was definitely a devastating event. As for the town of Fort Myers Beach, I think the one thing I will say, once we got in with the citizens, or once we got in with the government, for a small government agency that you've got here, you all have some dedicated employees. Your employees for this town government were working nonstop, regardless of the cost to them. And many of them had impacts also, but they were working to help the community. There were thousands of citizen contacts between phones, walk-ups, those type things, hundreds, if not thousands, of pallets of water, commodities, and MREs that were distributed. So just to see the caring and the partnerships that you have in this community was unreal. And then obviously you all had significant damage to your infrastructure. And I learned Mayor, what was it? The Coconut Telegraph?
Coconut Telegraph.
I learned the Coconut Telegraph very quickly. So because when you have the limited communications that we had, it's really relying on our smaller networks that are still here to help us get the message out. But devastating damage. But I will tell you, and I've told the mayor this since he took office, and as he stated, he and I were attached at the hip ever since he got sworn in. The dedication you have from your community, your citizens, and your employees are something I think I've never seen before.
So what do you think the biggest challenge is facing the government right now?
I think there's a multitude. I think really it's this, unfortunately, whether you deal with our state or our federal partners, this is, and as we've seen the debris, and I was gone, I think, for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and just to come back and see the huge difference in the debris and those type things, but just understanding that is going to take time. There was a message early on that actually, and I'll admit it was my fault, but it was misconstrued by prior leadership that, this is your functionality of your government and your island is improving on a daily basis, I think. But the fact is that you all had such a devastating blow that you're looking at, the big, beautiful Fort Myers Beach that we had before is going to be some time before we have it. But our functionality of our government is improving on a daily basis here. But it's debris, it's getting our citizens housing, it's, getting the infrastructure back up for our government. Our local government here in Fort Myers Beach is still working out of tents and trailers, getting some sort of temporary modular buildings set up and starting to get that infrastructure to begin to be built. And then we are working on getting the long-term recovery contractors, which are the contractors that are really going to be button seat next to the city leadership that are going to be helping them through this recovery process, through mitigation, rebuild, those type things for the next few years. And that's really what was a big part of me coming back today, to help them get that set up, and they will work on that at next week's board meeting. But I think that's just a struggle of really keeping our messaging out to our citizens and really keeping everybody patient. And I know it's been a tough thing. It's been a tough, long way, but it's really keeping everybody together and keeping that messaging out to the community so we can continue and rebuild this community better than what it was before.
You mentioned about debris removal and the difference that you saw from being gone and then coming back. One of the questions we get is, how long will the debris pickup continue? Do you have any answer for that?
So I made a mistake very early on in my career, and I stood on a board floor and told my county commissioner that debris was going to be picked up in 45 days because that's what my partner contractor told me. And 4 months later, we were still picking it up. So I learned I will not give time frames, but the one thing I just want to talk about the processes, and that is you guys had a significant amount of debris. As you see people that are coming back either during the holidays or after the holidays, they're going to continue to be pulling more debris out to the road. And then you've still got a lot of, mainly in your commercial partners and some residential partners, but you've still got a lot of red tag buildings that have still got to be demolished and stuff like that. So that debris process, I can tell you, I've seen last well over a year in certain times before, especially when you've got, commercial properties that are gutting out. And when I say debris, not just necessarily the trucks coming in and picking it up, but I'm talking about getting all of these collapsed buildings, debris piles, those type things out of your community. But I would expect you still have quite a few more months of dealing with that between the demolished buildings and just everybody cleaning up their properties and stuff like that.
So,
And
John, what? Go ahead,
hold on.
Dan.
I the last meeting we had with Director Guthrie, we asked about that, and there's no specific date yet, but they will definitely let us know so that we can let you know when that end date would be, as far as the state picking up the right of way debris. So it's not going to be an overnight thing that it's going to happen tomorrow. When there's a date that is certain, they'll let us know, and then we'll let you know. But they have assured us that it will be plenty of time for people to prepare properly.
So, John, with the experience that you've had in other areas and doing this for years, what is the realistic expectation for the town to be rebuilt? And we know it'll be rebuilt in phases, and you see things opening now, and people are still trying to get permits though, and get through understanding the process of rebuilding a home that's partially there or not there at all. What's the time frame when you take all those different things into your
When
thinking?
you say rebuilt, sir, I'm assuming you're talking about the big beautiful Fort Myers Beach. I truly thinking about you're talking about sometime with that. And I know I was again, I said early on that it's always something that we try to tell the communities 3 to 5 years, but when you say that is everything. And like I say, so now what I try to do is to correct that statement and say your functionality is going to improve every day. But I think to have that big, beautiful community that once you had before, because you're talking, a lot of your larger buildings are going to have to be rebuilt. They're going to have to be designed. You've got, you're dealing with our federal partners. There's going to be mitigation money coming to the community. So hypothetically, if you had a dock or a boardwalk or whatever that was destroyed, can you build there? And then how do you rebuild it to make it better before? So there's going to be a lot of planning and stuff like that involved. So the big, beautiful Fort Myers Beach where there's no activity for the storm going on, I think you're truly talking a couple of years. And I know that may be shocking to some, but that is the truth. Now, your functionality, and like I say, your government is busting their tails on a daily basis to improve that. But I think the realistic thing is of getting everything done, everything rebuilt, those type things. I think you're talking a couple of years, sir.
But I think
When you look,
go ahead, sorry to interject again, but what he's saying is not taking away from the fact that the businesses that have already busted their butts to open up, and daily they keep getting back. If you'd have told me 3 months ago that we'd be this far along with our businesses and the visitors that we're seeing on the beach, especially over the last weekend, and even as today, a typical Tuesday, I would have never in a million years suspected, seeing what I saw the minute after the storm to today. There's no way I could have ever possibly imagined that we would have this many places open, that we'd have hotel rooms for rent, and every day they just keep adding more and more and more. And some of the hoteliers are saying by February they could be possibly open with all their rooms. So I think what John is saying is, when the palm trees are blush and your flowers are back in your front yard and your grass is being mowed again, and the John Wards of the world are no longer here every day. That could be a longer process than a week or 2 weeks or a year. But as a community, the businesses are thriving right now. They're as best they can anyway under the circumstances. But the more that we can, as a town, the more we can work to getting people back to work, opening up the businesses, the faster that timeline will be shrunk.
And as the mayor, Mr. Ed, as the mayor stated, that is, and in fact, I when I was coming back down the other day, I texted him and it's like, hey, is anything back? And he gave me the list and everything's booked, so that is great. You are truly seeing a lot of your businesses that are able to rebuild as quick as they can and get back open, which is where I'm saying the functionality of your island on a daily basis is improving.
Well, not yet.
What I thought.
John, do you worry at all that the town government could go bankrupt?
No. You don't see, obviously, just like us personally, when we deal with something like that, it's a little bit of a financial struggle. But no, you've got a lot of state partners. You've got a lot of, I believe it was the mayor when first came in, set up that legislative day. So you've got a lot of folks that have eyes on this community. So as far as the town going bankrupt, no, not at all.
So we have a bunch of specific questions, and John, if you know the answers, just jump in and we'll just start ripping them off. And I guess the first one that I want to ask is what's the latest on Bayside Park, and when is that park going to be fixed?
I'll take this one, John, because I know that you maybe before you got down here, but I've had conversations from day one with Director Guthrie and his staff. They're working on it. I can't give you all the details because it's not. I can tell you that there was an issue with whether or not the town had insurance or didn't have insurance, but our state partners are working on it. It's in the final phases of the approval. The estimation is roughly $500,000 that it's going to take to fix and rebuild the park back to the way it was before the storm. The state has said that they're willing to help us with that. But again, hopefully in the next short time frame, we'll be able to tell you the details on it. But it is not forgotten about. It's a process that we're going through. We all wish things could go faster, but it is in the works.
Okay.
I could tell you that there's people coming in that are going to help clean it up that are volunteer type people. So it'll be a great place once it gets back up and running. Hopefully we'll get that final decision soon.
Does anybody know when the giant debris pile over at why is the recreation place escaping me? Bay Oaks. Bay Oaks. Does anybody know when that might be removed, or does that still have to just be there until further notice because you need to be able to move quickly?
Well, I can tell you that Chris Holly and I had a conversation with the debris removal Carter Golf on that a couple weeks ago. And the town manager was very much wanting to make sure that debris pile was moved sooner than later. As you know, on Monday, we're going to be voting to approve the contract to start the rebuild of the community center itself at Bay Oaks, the gymnasium, if you will. They're saying roughly the time frame is about 3 months from the time they start to be able to finish that, hopefully. So we have given them the clock of getting rid of that debris in time for that opening. So they've assured us that can go fairly quickly, depending as the debris gets picked up and gets removed. We do have the Lover's Key area where they can go. So they've assured us that they can move it out of there fairly swiftly when we need it to be completely gone and they have to make longer trips. But as we're going through the debris cleanup and the houses are coming down, it's going to take a little bit of time, but it can happen fairly quickly. And the deadline, we have told the debris haulers that we would like to see it gone before the opening of Bay Oaks.
So, you were talking about all the people now that are coming back down to the beach, and, we can see it from week to week as well. At night, it's really, really dark. When do you think there will be street lights on some or all of the beach, all of Estero and the side, the downtown area at least?
Well, we had a call with FPL today. Keith Wilkins and I, who is now the town manager, who will be here every day through the end of their contract. Chris Holly will be here next week, and he will be, every day we're on the phone, the three of us together talking. So it's not like they're not here, but the person actually being in the butt in the seat, is to steal a line from John, will be Keith Wilkins for the remainder of their contract, or the remainder of the time that they're here, depending on when the final town or the permanent town manager is hired. But so we've been very, very vocal about it's important. You guys have seen how dark Estero Boulevard is. Even before the storm, it was dark. They are currently replacing the lights that are broken. They're getting them on as fast as they can. We've been talking to them about the amber light solution. They will be at our meeting on Monday to give an update on that as to where we're at. Financially, what it will cost. The state is looking for a number to potentially help us with that. So that's what that conversation was about today. But they will be at our meeting on Monday to give us an overview of what our discussions have been, what the potential cost would be, energy costs, things like that. We'll be at the meeting on Monday.
Got it. Well, this is one that I think seems like it could be an easy fix, or probably could have been fixed already. But what do I know? The Times Square area definitely needs more porta johns and garbage cans, because if anybody was around yesterday or the day before, they saw that people are coming no matter what. I mean, some of them are just picking up the barricades and parking in Times Square. They can't find anywhere else to park. But the bathroom situation and the garbage can situation in that area is needs to be fixed. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, and I had a conversation. This is kind of when it first came out. It's you got to remember to what it was before September 28th, right? Before September 28th, you had bathrooms that were provided at Lynn Hall Park and at Crescent Park, and then all the businesses that were in Times Square had bathrooms. The town didn't technically have any bathrooms in Times Square. Now, fast forward to where we're at now. I'll be the first to tell you, we didn't expect to see this many people coming down this close to the storm, this soon after the storm. So as a town, were we prepared? I will take the bullet and say, no, we probably weren't as prepared as we should have been. However, there is 4 bathrooms down there, 2 which are provided by Loyola. He bought the 2 of the bathrooms that are there. He supplied. The other 2 have been supplied after the trailers that were there in Times Square, the actual comfort trailers, if you will, the bigger trailers. Those were provided by the state. When they reallocated those assets because of lack of use, and then eventually they went away, the town put 2 restrooms out there. Now, obviously, there needs to be more. And over the last couple of days, I've been talking with our county partners who are willing to assist us in getting some more down there. I don't know the exact number yet. I do know that Loyola has their temporary permit solution coming in that has the bathrooms for their patrons. But it's important to remember that, and this may sound harsh, but it's true. The town wasn't in the business of providing businesses who set up restrooms for their patrons. Now that's why I said it sounds harsh. So what I'm saying is, if I set up a food trailer on Times Square, it's my personal belief that you should have to provide restrooms for your customers, just like you would if you had a business there. Doesn't mean the town and the county don't have to make sure that you have a place to go to the bathroom as well, but it shouldn't be reliant on us to supply your bathrooms for your customers as well as.
But Dan, I don't mean to cut you off because we have so many questions, but Tom has provided bathrooms in Times Square, and he's provided pretty much the bathrooms for all the people that are coming to the beach. And when he gets those new shipping containers in, he's going to have nice bathrooms, and it's going to be more on him than it is on the town. Now, the town's, I don't know who's got bathroom. There's a line of bathrooms by the Seagrape Plaza that just seem to be sitting there.
And down at Santini, who's responsible for those?
Move them down to Times Square where all the people are. That's what doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, up until 2 weeks ago, there were hardly any people in Times Square, and now over the last 2 weeks, it's been a massive influx of people in Times Square. So you have to adjust. I mean, to put 25 porta potties out there and nobody shows up would be a serious gross waste of money. Now that we see the situation, you have to adjust to it, just like you would in any other situation. We'll get bathrooms out there. And the cleanup schedule between Loyola's bathrooms and the bathrooms that the town had there were different. We had, so 2 would be full, 2 would be empty, and then 2 would be full and 2 would be empty. So people aren't using the full ones, they're using the empty ones, so they'd fill up. I had a very good conversation with Tom from Loyola yesterday. We're on the same page. He understands. The town manager understands that this is a priority. As I said, we've spoken to our county partners. They're in the process of getting us some help down there as well. So it's coming. As soon as I know the exact numbers of how many porta potties will be there, we'll certainly let you know.
So
the garbage,
okay, go ahead.
The garbage as well.
Go ahead, yeah.
So we do have garbage cans out there. We're getting more out there as we can get them. but I believe a lot of the emphasis should be on the people that are coming to visit as well. When you come down to the beach to visit the beach, it's just, in my opinion, I was brought up that if I leave something at least in the same condition or better than when I left it, if you're coming to the beach to enjoy the beach, God bless you. But I can tell you, I was down there yesterday when the town was closed and was driving up and down the beach picking up garbage that people just left behind because they didn't want to at least carry it up to the trash receptacle on their way off the beach. So, just as a public service thing, if you can leave the beach the way you found it or better than the way you found it, I think that would make everybody's lives a little bit easier. I mean, we're doing our best to clean it up, but if you keep leaving piles of garbage behind when you leave, it makes it that much more difficult for the people who are trying to run a business in Times Square, and those of our town staff and myself and people like John, and are trying to do everything we can to get as much resources and things cleaned up as fast as we can. We can't do it by ourselves. We need help.
Well, then the other challenge that you have too is you got debris piles that are sitting there, and sometimes people are just lazy asses, and they say, okay, well, looks like a garbage pile to me now, and then it becomes a garbage pile because everybody's throwing their garbage on it, and now it's more than a debris pile. But in Times Square, I noticed that the 3S Cargoes is back. She's got her little setup there, and she was there beforehand. And I also noticed the ice cream guy is back. But there was a food truck there too. Is that a food truck that's from Fort Myers Beach? Do you know, Dan, or is that I didn't recognize who that was, and I know you guys are trying to keep it local.
The food truck or the food trailer? There's like a turquoise color food trailer there. I don't believe that is a local or a food trailer that was on the beach before. I believe that's in front of Sunset Grill or real close to Sunset Grill. When we voted on this, we asked that they give preferential treatment if you're the landowner to the business that was there beforehand. In this case, if the business owner of Sunset Grill doesn't want to operate a trailer there, or just for whatever reason decided they want to have someone that it wasn't on the beach before, I don't know that that's outside their possibility or their reasoning for doing that. Whether or not they reached out to other restaurants that were on the island for that space first, I don't know that answer. But to answer your question specifically, no, I don't think that. I'm pretty positive they were not on the beach before the storm.
But you still have to get a permit. I mean, you still have to go to town hall and get a permit, right? You can't just show up.
They should certainly have a permit for that, even if whether they have a permit, that I don't know. But yes, you should certainly have to have a permit just like everybody else does down there.
Got it. Now, so John, I don't mean to bore you in anything, but if you have answers to some of the questions, please just jump right in here. The Old San Carlos has some parking signs that you can use the app for, but there are other spots on Old San Carlos where the signs weren't up yet. Did your announcement today mean that those signs are going to be in by the 9th?
They're going to be starting to install those. Yes, they should be installed hopefully by the 9th. You've seen the parking that's down there. We're at some point we've got to start reinstating the parking fees.
Sure.
So if there's the signs are in, the tools and equipment we need to put those signs are in. So staff, as soon as tomorrow morning, is going to start putting them in where they need to be in based on what you just read. So our hope is to have them all in by the 9th. If you pull into a spot and there isn't a sign there, then lucky you. But our goal is to certainly have them operational or up and running by the 9th.
John, anything, we're going to let you roll, but anything else you want to add or share with the residents of Fort Myers Beach, from your time here and, the experience that you've had so far?
No, I just think, like I say, I mentioned the devastating impacts you guys had at the beginning, and just seeing where you all are at, both in your businesses. I remember sitting at, I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but I remember sitting at the first restaurant that opened back up and couldn't believe how quickly it was, and just seeing the businesses open back up. I think you all have an amazing community, and I think it's really staying together through these trying times as a community that's really going to help you all be successful in the long run. And again, your functionality of this island improves on a daily basis.
I just wanted to ask, in addition to your experience, as they start to open up and, you can hear some of the challenges that we've been talking about tonight with, people coming back soon for, for those people, it probably feels like forever, but for Fort Myers Beach, it seems soon for them. Are there any suggestions or anything that you would, recommend to kind of manage that space between rebuilding and people wanting to come back and enjoy the beach before all of the infrastructure is in place?
We've had a lot of conversations internally about this, about one, trying to get our community back, our citizens back out to the beach, and then knowing our visitors are going to be coming in. And I tell you what was really eye-opening for me, I think it was Thanksgiving, was to see the line that was back to get from one end of the island to the other. And there's been a lot of conversation about this, but I think it's really, you all, I've listened to your shows since I've been here, seeing the messages you put out, seeing the relationship you have with the mayor and the local government, but it's really keeping this community together and just sharing that information. But then also on the mayor's part, and he does a good job of this, is getting messaging out to the community, because we've all got to have a transparent community and we've all got to be familiar with what's going on so we can support each other going through these type of events.
Well, thanks for coming on, John. Thanks for coming down here and helping out. We appreciate it a lot.
I appreciate it very much. So
John Ward, everybody. And Dan, what was that like, having somebody with all that experience to help you? You were just elected mayor. It's not like you were getting all that information before you were mayor, with everything that was going on. Then you're thrown into the fire there, but you had some help.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a quick learning curve, and to be able to. He wasn't there immediately, but I think it was within a week or so. He was there. We knew he was coming. I had been on a conference call with him and Director Guthrie, and so I got to at least see and hear him beforehand. And as he said, his knowledge and his experience is pretty plentiful. So he was willing enough. I know I sometimes ask more questions than I probably should, but you don't know the answer if you don't ask the question. So he's been very helpful in answering all my questions. If he doesn't know the answer, he's really quick about going and getting the answer from someone that does have the answer. So he's a lot like. His personality is a lot like mine, and I think that's why we got along so well, is that we want answers, we want to get it out as fast as we can. He's quick moving like I am. He's a problem solver, so he's been very helpful in making the contacts and just enlightening me and who each one of the players are within this process, and what to expect, and tamp down expectations when sometimes I get a little excited. I know that's hard to believe, but so he was a good sounding board. He was a good person to, offer suggestions. Usually if I asked for something, he would offer his suggestion and his input, and I would take it, process it, ask someone else their input. And, usually if you ask 2 or 3 people the same question, you get to a consensus that is probably the right answer, hopefully the right answer to move you in the right direction.
All right, we still have a bunch of questions for you, Dan, but I'm going to give you like a 2-minute break here because I've got to read a couple of advertisers, which we are always happy to have. And we have a brand new advertiser, Laura Sanchez. She's going to help you with renovation loans because they can help you in many ways. It's financing that can help purchase or refinance on a home that needs updating or repair based on the projected after repair value, not existing condition. She'll overcome the 50% FEMA rule regarding damaged homes and flood zones. Owner-occupied, second homes or investments, maximum amount is $3 million. So Laura Sanchez, one of our newest sponsors, you can call her today, 239-895-0657. That's 239-895-0657. What do you have to lose but a phone call? And thank you, Laura, for being one of our newest sponsors. She is the Vice President of Mortgage Lending. Before we get back to Dan, you can type your questions in the chat box for Dan, the mayor. I'm reading the comments about your shirt. She loves your shirt. That's one of our short sleeve white shirts, but we don't have those for sale anymore, do we? Right there.
She said, I have your shirt to read.
Oh, sorry. I thought she said she loved your shirt. I'm going blind. Mike Bannock was on the show last weekend while we're at Wahoo Willies. And Mike specializes in demolition, debris removal, interior demo. He levels your lots, and he'll make sure he takes care of capping off your utilities for permitting. There's been a lot of great comments and reviews about the work Mike's doing. He's a super nice guy, and he's somebody you can trust.
And he better be practicing his push-ups.
That's right. I don't know what you had going on there. You can reach Mike at 352-636-3719. That's 352-636-3719, and he'll give you a quote. And then you can decide from there, because people are still going through all that. And we thank Mike and Laura for being sponsors of the program. And go ahead, go right ahead, dear. You're up.
Let's break through some of these. So Curtis Ferris wants to ask why no one can access the donation area located at the disaster center, that they had 0 issues at the Santini Disaster Center, but now it's closed and the donations were moved to the only disaster center left. You can see them, but they're all blocked off by a barrier.
I assume they're talking about Beach Baptist.
Yes.
So the issue that I found out today that they're having there is volunteers to hand that stuff out. They've asked our staff to be able to help. Obviously, we're pretty short staffed, but I would say direct any specific questions like that to Pastor Kritzer. He would be able to answer that better than I can, but the stuff was moved there. It is donations, for the public. It's just a matter of properly having it staffed to be able to hand it out to people the way it needs to be handed out is my understanding, what I've been told.
Okay. That's good to get out there.
You know what I
because-
was thinking?
Wait a minute.
Go
People
ahead.
do ask, how they can help.
Yeah, I didn't
all
know they
the
needed
time.
volunteers.
So
Yeah.
we can push that out, that people can contact Beach
Hey,
Baptist to
I have
do
an
that.
idea about the bathroom stand. You should
Oh.
charge people to go to the bathroom. If they're not a Fort Myers Beach resident, you should charge them. Get a little bit of the revenue back. What do you got to go? Number 1 and number 2? There's an extra charge for number 2.
On a lighter note, if whoever came up with the name Duty Calls, that is that's the greatest porta potty name ever.
Yeah. So go ahead. Back to the
Bathroom talk. We know you're so famous for it.
can never go wrong with that.
So Rocky asked, can anything be done about the unsafe, unhealthy, putrid pools that are on private property where the owners live somewhere else and have not been here to take care of it? And wondering about code enforcement on that.
The short answer is no. The longer answer is yes, there's something that can be done. There's a process that you have to go through. You have to allow, from what I've been told, I don't know what the exact time frame is, but you have to allow people so much time to be able to, take care of their own business, whether they're waiting for insurance, whether they're waiting for whatever the reason is that they're waiting for to be able to touch their property, to do things. You have to wait. The fire department can get involved in some things and can actually, they have a bigger bite, I guess I would say, than we do as a town when it comes to life safety, issues like that. So I guess I would say if you feel that something is a life safety hazard, you could reach out to, myself, and I can, if you can get us the specific information of the property you're talking about. I talk with the Chief Martin almost on a daily basis, so we can coordinate together to see if there's something that we can do. We also talk to our state partners about that. As far as, can we just go out and rip the pool out? No, but there's things that we can do to at least notify them that we feel it's a safety issue. You need to get it taken care of. If you don't, we're going to take care of it for you.
Got you.
Okay.
No, Ollie, you missed what I said. It's residents pee for free. That's the new motto. I mean, we were talking about people that aren't residents, not the residents. So
I'll tell you a story on that. That's funny. All right.
Jeff's got a question. What about, there is regular trash pickup, right? You guys have the vendor coming down to pick up the regular trash.
Yes, Waste Management is doing their regular pickup schedule.
Do you know what that is off the top of your head?
For us, I believe Wednesdays is recycle, and then Thursdays is a regular trash pickup day. And we know that for a fact because we finally just moved back to the island, if you will. We're still, as you can probably tell behind me, that we're still in the camping mode. But yeah, we're seeing and hearing the Waste Management trucks. So and
It's getting advice from the first lady.
Oh yeah, she just
Information.
reminded me one other thing. So it's
So I wanted to ask, what is your what's your feel for how safe the water is for boating right now around the island?
well, I mean, I would be very skeptical if I was out there in my boat, just because there is a lot of debris. I mean, you think about all the stuff that got washed into the back bay that is just getting circled around, and you see, as you probably saw on the beach cleanup that you did on Sunday, every day you clean the beach, you go back out there, and there's new stuff that is washed up. So I'm personally not taking my boat out there. Lower units are expensive. So if I'm hitting a fridge or I'm hitting something that you can't see, I don't want to spend a lot of money replacing it. So I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to give the debris people the time and space that they need to be able to clean up our canals and our back bay, and there's going to be plenty of time to boat. Right now, I don't have not like I have time to do any boating right now anyway. So
So let's
of all
take a
the-
question.
I think it's of all the things that that actually made it through the storm. I never thought our boat would be one, but
Right.
we'll
let's
have
take a
document
question.
on it, but-
Let's take a question from Ginny. She says, "What can be done about cleaning the sidewalks on Estero Boulevard? Some of us lost our cars in the hurricane and can only ride bicycles or walk to get around. Dodging trash is a safety hazard." I mean, that's a double-edged sword there, right? You're asking people to put the garbage up by the sidewalk, and people want to use the sidewalks.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is a double-edged sword, and I spoke with Commissioner Sandelli about it today, and we all want to have the sidewalks clean. We still have to clean out the storm water, the storm sewer, before rainy season starts again. It seems like when you clean up the sidewalk, the next day there's more debris back out there. So unfortunately, it's not an answer that I could give you that a specific date of when the sidewalks will be clean. You just have to
Gotcha.
bear with it, and we got the number one thing is to get this debris out of here as fast as we can so that we can get this stuff fine and cleaned up. But I will tell you, they have these, I think I've told you before, we have these missions out there about you have to put in through the state EOC and all that kind of thing to get these missions. And that is one of the missions that is out there is cleaning up and brooming and sweeping the sidewalk so that it's safe for people to use. But it seems like it never ends. I drive up on this island every single day, countless times a day. One day it's perfectly clean, and the next day there's a house sitting on it. So
Yeah. So the beach cleanup you brought up, and you were out after we made piles of garbage, picking up the garbage. What do we know about how much is it even ever going to be possible to know about how much shards of glass are in the sand? And is somebody gonna go through all of the sand with those machines to make sure it's clean? Because that's how long that could be an issue forever.
well, it very well could. I'll just use our front yard as an example. We've got a rocky front yard where you can park your cars, and my wife and I have spent countless hours raking and picking up glass, and raking and picking up glass, and shoveling and picking up glass, and raking it. And every day we go out there, it's all of a sudden, oh, there's another piece of glass. Where did that come from? So, that's just our driveway. Imagine the beach that has all this stuff that could be washing up. So it's important that if you do go out there, you keep your shoes on. When I was out on the beach yesterday picking up the garbage, there was plenty of people that were wearing more people wearing their shoes than I've ever seen on the beach.
Okay.
The kids that were making sandcastles had their tennis shoes on. So I think the message is getting out there that if you're enjoying the beach with your family or yourselves or whatever you're doing, it's just flip-flops. If you're going to get out of your chair and walk around, put your flip-flops on. If you're going to go in the water, make sure you got some shoes on. It's just for your protection and your safety. The last thing you want to do is come down here to enjoy some sun and you end up in the ER because you cut your foot on something that you couldn't see.
Right.
Regarding the curfew and the curfew hours, someone was asking early on if they're coming down here as a visitor and it says to show proof of reservations
At a hotel.
at a hotel. So if they're down there to go to eat, there's not going to, they have till midnight
to leave.
Okay.
Right, Dan? They'll have till midnight to leave, and then
That's what will be there as of next Monday. Yes, it's
Gotcha.
starting next Monday. But if you're coming on, and the reasoning behind that, and we had a lot of discussions, especially today. I spoke with Mayor Holly Smith. I've spoken with the commissioner. I've spoken with the Lee County. I've spoken with everybody to let them know this is what was being thought about being done, and no one had an issue with it. They understood. You know, we still need that protection. In my opinion, of people. You know, nothing good happens after midnight, right? So it's still dark down here, as you mentioned earlier, Kim, with the lights. So it's a safety issue, but we think that, you know, in order to help jumpstart the businesses or continue to jumpstart the businesses, in order for people to be able to, you know, just coming in nowadays, I've had a lot of emails from people that, you know, their flight got delayed and they couldn't get in until 9 o'clock, and they weren't going to be able to come onto the island until 10 o'clock, and they felt that they wouldn't be able to get onto the island. And, you know, they shouldn't have to feel that way. And if they need to get to their home, they shouldn't have to feel that they shouldn't have to be worried about coming in to make their house better or get into wherever they're staying to help their friend or whatever that is. So that was the reasoning behind it. And, you know, but we do, I think 12 to 6 is a reasonable time frame to keep people off the island that aren't supposed to be here. And, you know, contractors aren't working that late anyway. They don't need to be accessing the island. So I think it was a, you know, the town manager, with my understanding, reached out to my fellow counselors and asked them their opinion. So that's why the decision was made.
So when you talk to Commissioner Sandelli today, I'm sure you asked him about the pier in Lynn Hall Park and Bowditch and all their land. Do they have any clue yet when they're going to get to work on the beach?
We didn't specifically talk about that kind of thing. I can tell you that they're very, very interested in and want to work with the town of Fort Myers Beach, because that area down there, our portion of the land, their portion of the land, the pier, all of that is an integral part of Fort Myers Beach. Even though it may be owned by the county, they certainly want to work with us to make sure whatever that ends up being is what is in the best interest, not only for us, but for them as well. So they're all ears. They're open to any suggestions. We're constantly talking about it. You know, we're working with our planning person that was in place before the storm, as far as our land development code and our comp plan. So, and, you know, to use a phrase that he used, and I thought it was very clever, in order to sit down and have dinner, you know, we talk about a lot of things like permitting and setbacks and things like that. And he compared those to plates and silverware. Well, in order to set a table, in order to put your plates and silverware out there for dinner, you usually will have a tablecloth. Well, that's what that is, your land development code and your comp plan. That's your tablecloth. You have to lay that out before you start putting the fine china, if you will, on there. So we're working on that daily. We've had 1 or 2 meetings with him on, you know, now that it has changed, obviously, from what we were talking about before, where does that lead us? Where do we want to go? And talking with the county and working with them and working with staff and figuring out what's going to be the best things for zoning and what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what does the community want. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're working through it. They've been a great partner with us through this entire thing, and they'll continue to work with us. So
let's roll through some questions. Dale, we did talk about. I'm gonna. Okay. I just want to let Dale know we did talk about the Bay Oaks earlier in the show. Might be easier to just go back and listen to that part of it. It was earlier on.
I did see Ed one question early on, and I'm looking through this. He asked about the trailer. Can I have? I am going to ask about that, but I wanted to sneak this guy's question in here because it kind of is dovetails on what you just said. If we demo our existing ground level home and build up new, the same footprint, do our existing setbacks apply? If we demo our existing ground level, the answer to that, in speaking with Jason Green, is no. However, if you want to raise your existing home, then you don't have to follow the new current setbacks, if that makes sense. So if my house currently right now is buildable to within the 50% rule, and I'm at say a 7.5 foot setback on my lot, you can elevate that lot and still keep that 7.5 foot setback. However, if you demolish the house, then you now have to build back to what the current setbacks are.
Which is what?
15%,
depends.
15% on side setback.
Gotcha. All right. So you did a Facebook Live today, and you were actually standing next to a trailer that was brought in by FEMA, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, that there was actually a FEMA trailer Was he lost? Was the driver of the trailer lost, or how did that happen?
Well, we have a meeting every Tuesday and Thursday with FEMA, with the Lee County Sheriff, Fire Department, all that. We all sit around the table and discuss, what we know, what we don't know, what we need to happen, what has happened. And they relayed to us today that the first trailer is actually placed on Fort Myers Beach. So I thought that was very important information to get out. So we went out, Jenny, the PIO, and I went out and shot that little quick video to show you that there is one that exists. It is out there. They are coming. I also believe we have another one in the permitting process right now, which I believe is one through the state program. So that's coming down the pipeline too. So the process is moving along. There's a specialist. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I want to say it was Jim, but from FEMA, who is in town, who's working directly with our permitting staff to make sure that we have a streamlined process so that when the approvals go through FEMA and you can receive the trailer, that there's no holdup, there's no hiccups. We can get in, we can get it done. Obviously, we have to wait for FPL to do what they have to do to get the electric hooked up, which you saw on that trailer today. That hasn't been hooked up yet. So
without getting into the specific address, is it outside the high velocity zone? Is that why it was approved, or we're just going to get them now because
I have not. This wasn't a travel trailer like the governor's program. The governor's program is the wheels, just like you'd go to the RV store and you buy yourself a camper. Those are the trailers that would be through his program. This is an actual modular home, one of the 18-month modular homes that you'd see in the FEMA cities, if you will, that they've had in the past disasters. That's what that home is that you were looking at. So that was specifically a FEMA placed trailer. That wasn't
that was at somebody's house. It's not going into like you were saying, a FEMA city. That was actually at someone's residence.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
She didn't watch the video.
I did watch the video. Yeah.
Well, I think Dan was trying to also keep it a little bit private, so but to show.
Yeah, I mean, FEMA is very, very good about making sure. I mean, for privacy reasons, obviously, you don't want to know.
Yeah.
You don't. So we've done our best to make sure. I wanted people to see it, but I wanted to try to make sure that we protected the privacy of that homeowner, but show you that it was there. I mean, I'm seeing now that there's news stories out there, so. It's not a very big island. It's not hard to find things if you really want to find them. So they've obviously found it, and it's probably a little easier to find now.
And so they've got that for 18 months starting now when they get it, or 18 months.
I've asked that question a bunch of times, and it's from 18 months starts from the storm. So, but there are instances where you can extend, is what I've been told. So I don't know. I know that you're going to have a conversation with Director Fogel, I believe, this weekend. I think I saw you had posted.
Yeah.
So,
that Saturday, yeah.
So, I mean, that could be a question for him. He'd be able to answer that, because I've asked him that question personally several times, and it's always been, it's from the date of the storm. However, there are possibilities and there are ways that you can get it extended, again, depending on your circumstances.
David, that's a great question. We'll ask FEMA. We have a FEMA rep on the show Saturday at Wahoo Willie's. I guess if you are eligible for housing, you should apply for it, because he's asking if it's just for people remodeling or rebuilding their homes, or if it's housing. I think you should apply for it if you're eligible.
I have been instructed, and it makes perfect sense, whether you think you need it or you don't, apply for it. Because if you don't apply for it, and the deadline is February 12th, so if you don't apply for it, you're obviously not eligible for any help. So, and your circumstances could have changed between when you thought you maybe need it and now your circumstances are different. So it doesn't take long. It's not a very hard process to apply. But if you're not in the queue, or you're not in the system as needing assistance, you're obviously never going to get any assistance. So to answer their question, it could be, you could be eligible to get the trailer whether you're rebuilding your house or not. So it's my understanding, whether you're rebuilding your house or you're a renter or whatever it was, they vet all that out and they get you, if you're eligible, they'll get you a trailer.
It's so funny because with all the stuff that's happened on the island, there's less things to turn into because a lot of the buildings are gone. So the traffic should be flowing a little quicker. Now we've got the people that that have to see everything at 3 miles an hour on we're driving down Estero Boulevard, causing the traffic jams that really shouldn't be taking place now. And there's really nothing you can do about that. I mean, other than lay on your horn so the person realizes they're causing a traffic jam behind them, but they're not even paying attention. And there were at least 5 questions about the looky-loos on Estero Boulevard. And the sheriff's department isn't going to waste their time trying to keep that kind of traffic going. They're trying to stop real crime. So it's just crazy how you think the traffic situation should be fine because there's really nowhere to turn right now except for 5 places. But you got these people that have to take a picture of everything.
Well, I can tell you that, it's very difficult to find, how do you know who's a looky-loo and who's not? Unless they're hanging out a sunroof with their phone out, it's really difficult for anybody to be able to tell if they are or they aren't. But we know, like you said, they're driving 3 miles an hour. Megan today was out on the beach trying to come back at the crosswalk, and the gentleman stopped for her to cross. Well, the person behind him wasn't paying attention and rear-ended that vehicle. And
oh, no kidding.
So someone's doing the right thing and stopping for someone in the crosswalk, and someone behind them not paying attention rear ends them. And I'm guessing that's probably not the only time it's happened. It probably won't be the last time it happens. But, the message should be, if you're coming and you're driving your car, pay attention to the road. If you're coming here to look, we can't stop you from doing that. But if it's your interest to look at someone else's devastation, then that's a you thing. It's not a me thing, but
just pull over and get out and do it.
Get out and walk.
Yeah, or walk. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. Get out, park your car, and you can walk up and down the sidewalk. You can walk up and down the beach. But
pick up some garbage and walk.
Yeah.
Take your pictures.
When you're hanging your phone out the window and looking and not paying attention to where you're driving, you're not only putting yourself at risk. You're putting people that are either working or live here or trying to do the right thing at risk, and that's pretty selfish in my opinion.
All right, Dan, it's 7:00 already. Thanks for bringing John on for the first half of the show. Anything that we missed that you want the residents to know?
Yeah, I had a list, but honestly, I left it at on my table at the tent. But I think we covered most of it. I think we covered most of it with the with that press release, and I just wish everyone a happy new year. And the progress has been great. It continues to get better every day. We're starting to see more and more happy faces come by town hall now than we did before, which is good. So, progress is sometimes can be slow, but as long as you're patient, we'll all get through it, and eventually we'll all look back at this and have stories and remember what we had to go through. But we'll get there. We'll get there sooner than later.
All right, we'll be back next Monday at 6:00 now that everything's all the holidays are behind us. So thanks a lot, Dan. Talk to you in a week, if not before that.
Yes, sir. Have a good night. Bye, Kim.
All right. Dan Allers, everybody, the mayor. And again, thanks to John Ward. And if you missed the first part of the show, before you hang up on us here, the curfew will change on Monday, January 9th. And I think that's so they can get some more of these parking signs installed as one of the reasons, but and to give people time to make the adjustment if they need to. It's going to go from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., which is what it is now, to midnight to 6 a.m. So starting Monday, January 9th, the town adjusts the curfew hours to midnight to 6 a.m. on both bridges. And you need to be prepared to show proof of residency, or if you have reservations at one of the few hotels that are open, then you'll be able to get on. And also the parking fees, which we originally thought were going to start being charged today, will be charged on Monday, January the 9th. And they will be in just a few of the areas. Let's see. Under the Matanzas Pass Bridge in lots 1 through 4 in the downtown district, including Old San Carlos, Center Street, and Estero Boulevard. And in the new lot that is next to Margaritaville, they are going to be charging the $5 an hour, but you will not have the 2-hour time limit. You will be able to get parking passes if you lost your parking pass because your house is in the water now, or you lost everything in your house, but they are on order. So you have to wait until the new batch of passes comes in. I'm guessing if you just show your license, proof of residency, it'll be fine too. So that is the latest. Yeah, and the contractors are still 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So that is the latest on the curfew. And Dan did say that there will be more bathrooms and garbage cans in Times Square soon. So stay tuned for that. Is there anything that you wanted to share before we sign off for tonight? Anything? Dorston
You
Claims.
make it sound like I have
You-
something.
Well,
hidden.
you never know. Sometimes you have something thrilling to say that everybody wants to know. Not tonight, apparently. Dorston Claims is our final sponsor of the night. Mark Dorston is one of those in our little clique, our little group of people that we want to share with you that you can trust, that you're not going to get. I was reading the news or watching Wink or whatever it was, and I saw somebody, a tie from Pete's Timeout, got ripped off because he gave a $10,000 check or something like that to a contractor who we thought was showing him a license number for a roof. He was getting a new roof, but the guy stole the business card and was a fraud, and he got scammed, and the guy got arrested, and Ty and his roommates are out $10,000. So you don't want that to happen to you. You want to go with people you trust. If your house is gone and your insurance company denies the claim, you should call Dorston Claims, 239-849-2949. There are cases where both policies must pay the limit. The only way you'll know is to ask. So call Mark today, 239-849-2949. Don't let your wind insurance company keep hundreds of thousands of your dollars. And I'm required to say this. This is a solicitation for business. If you had a claim for an insured property loss or damage and you are satisfied with the payout by your insurer, you may disregard this ad. Otherwise, call Mark today, damn it, and get some more money. 239-849-2949.
Do you see Jacob's comment?
Can't wait for you guys to get more merchandise in. I don't know if you saw the Facebook post, but we sold out the hats in 2 days. We ordered another batch. They'll be in January 11th. The cups will be in January 23rd. All the hoodies are gone. I think we get one batch in this week that don't have Beach Talk Radio on the back. We ordered another batch, which will be here next week. All the white long sleeve shirts were sold over the weekend. We ordered a new batch of those, and it was so great.
The post office lady now, when I went in today and you put the wrong zip code on, she goes, "Well, I'll see you tomorrow."
Yeah. Yeah. And we are this close from getting our online shop. We're going to have a whole shopping online right on our website. I needed to make sure it was something that we could manage and somebody that's Troy. Well, no.
You were so against
I am
it.
not against it unless I feel like we can control it. And it's not going to be some online store where you're using cheap products. We're going to be using all the same products.
Here, but that was my idea, and you
all right. You can have all the credit for it.
Shot it down.
You can have all the credit for it.
Micromanager.
No, well, I'm not a micromanager. I have to do all the work. You just come up with an idea and say, okay, you execute this idea. You have no desire to put in any of the legwork. All right, so you go to the post office and you ship out the boxes, but that's because I've taken all the orders. I put it all together. I know where the money's going and all that.
What you need help with, and you're like, no, it's all mine.
Beach bots to automatically clean the beach. What is a beach bot? Like a beach robot. That would be interesting to clean all the beach. I do want to buy some shirts and hats. Well, we'll post it up there when they all come in. Now that the holidays are over, I think the turnaround time on all these things will be faster. So stay tuned for that.
Postage rates goes down.
What were we arguing about last night was, the beach towels, that we're going to get beach towels. And I want to make sure they're bright yellow beach towels. That's right. Flip flops with our faces on the bottom so people can step all over us. Right. Or the beach towels will have our big logo on one side. And if somebody gets really mad at something we say on the show, they could sit right. That's probably not a good idea to have our picture on it. Just the logo, but bright yellow ones.
Maybe an animal or two.
An animal, like a sea turtle or something like that. All right. We're just rambling on now. So thank you all for all your support and your purchasing of the merchandise and your support for the show. And nice seeing everybody at Wahoo Willie's yesterday. It's so great to see everybody just show up with the shirts on, whether it's the yellow shirt or the white shirt, because then you got to go up and talk to them. How they get the shirt, when they get the shirt. Thank you for buying the shirt, all that fun stuff. So.
Yeah. So nice to go. To be out and delivered a sweatshirt today.
Yes.
Bonnie, who's heading to, I believe she said
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
She had all her Green Bay Packer stuff on. It was so cute. But yeah, it was nice to get out and see,
Meet the people.
meet people. And
Somebody special's coming to Fort Myers Beach tomorrow, and you're going to be there to see him again. The big guy is coming back. It's a secret, so don't tell anybody. See ya.
Okay.
Bye-bye.